Welcome to Pitch in the Zone, our weekly gathering of coaches that help one presenter with a 3-minute pitch. Our coaches include Nathan Gold, hailing from San Francisco. He specializes in high-stakes presentations. Scotty Spursum, also a coach in San Francisco with a focus on language and accent reduction. Usually we have Michael Marchak, but he is off today. We have Massimo Peroncelli joining us from Thailand. He's a serial entrepreneur with a tremendous background in the startup world. He's also doubling as our timer. So Charles, if you want to keep an eye on Massimo's screen, you will see a countdown timer. And then we have Rick Pollack, a presentation coach who has coached and trained numerous presenters, including TEDx speakers. He is coming to us from Massachusetts. And of course, we have a couple of people that are participating in our session today, not necessarily professional coaches, but you don't have to be a coach to be useful and helpful to our presenter here. So these presenters from previous sessions, thanks for coming back, and I look forward to your contribution as well. And then, of course, in the hot seat today is Charles Akpemashur. He is joining us from Ghana with a project that's actually near and dear to my heart. So it's a real delight to help Charles with his 3-minute pitch today. Charles, welcome to Pitch in the Zone.
Thank you.
Your pitch today, tell us very briefly, what is the intended audience so that we can put on the correct hat and provide the feedback that's most useful to you?
Investors.
Investors, like early stage investors or? Yeah, all right. And you are not going to share slides, right? You are going to pitch like that, which I really love to see. So Charles, whenever you are ready, take a deep breath and the floor is yours.
All right, so I'm ready. So timer, we're good. Okay. Africa has a population of over 1 billion people. 60% of them are under the age of 25. This means over 500 million young people are either in school or are in the workplace or they're learning skill acquisition. However, education in Africa is still theoretical and not relevant to solving Africa's problem. At WeGo Innovate, we're ready to level the playing field, and we're doing that by creating locally relevant, practical application, curriculum-based content, and audiovisual materials that is transforming learning in the classroom. We focus on areas like STEM and STEAM programs, functional literacy programs, and life skills. These content or educational content materials can be found both online and offline. Now, our method really works because when we launched our STEM program, we saw some incredible and amazing developments, from young people using potatoes to power light bulb, or using salt water or sugar solution to show how submarine works. And it really makes learning very touch and feel, which is really great. Now, it was so amazing that the UNSTI named us, or the United Nations for Science and Technology Innovation for 2021, named us one of the winners out of 10 innovations across the world. And by the way, 360 innovations came out of the world, and we were one of the 10 that were selected. On top of that, we figured out how to create content in ways that is affordable, that our users can access at a relevant price of 50 cents per month to access our content. We have figured out that Africa has 500 million young people have the opportunity to create the future they want and create the jobs that they want to be in the future. And we have the opportunity to help them do that. Now, we're inviting you to join us by investing to bring this to fruition and help the young 25 million Africans create the future that they want. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent job, Charles. Well done. I particularly like your pace. It didn't feel rushed at all. We see so many presenters come in here and they freak out about the 3 minutes and rush through at a very, very fast pace. You didn't. And I think you conveyed your message very, very well. I felt you left me hanging quite a long time till I really figured out what exactly do you bring to the table, meaning perhaps spent a little bit too much time on the problem in itself. But all in all, really, really well done. And I look forward now to the feedback of all our coaches here collectively. Massimo, if I can start with you, what kind of observations have you made and how can you help Charles to improve?
Yes, thank you. I would have preferred if you asked me for a second because I was still trying to find ways to improve it because I like it very much. I love the introduction, like it's one of the many ways to start a speech in a good way, like a starting fact. So the fact that 1 billion people live in Africa and a lot of them are youngsters. So very good. So what I can say, I felt kind of the thing that during my speech, people told me it was not perfect, was my way of speaking. So I agree with Claudio that you didn't rush it. It was fine, but it was like staccato, like ta, 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 ta. So a little bit more of flow. And I think you perfectly knew what you wanted to say. So you could for sure try to make it sound more connected because there was not a problem of forgetting. And of course, but it will be somebody else, not me. If you're asking for investors or something, at least a general ask. So how much you're asking for? $1,000, 1 million. Then of course you would have time to explain everything, but at least a number. Really good. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo.
All right, Massimo, you were missing the slides, right? You wanted to deep dive into the slides, of course. Scotty, what kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Yeah, Charles, I love your I loved it. I love what you're doing is extraordinary and well needed in the world. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I felt a little bit like you were reading it though, rather than speaking it. And there were some times where it sounded like who I think you sound like, but other times it felt a little bit more read. So I think as you continue to feel more comfortable giving this talk, I mean, I'm sure you've pitched many people already, but you'll become more and more comfortable. No? Okay. Then relax. It'll be fine. You're going to be great. And your pace was good, but a few sentences were really fast. For instance, when you say the name of WeGo, Innovate, it was so fast that I'm glad you had the logo there, but I couldn't, Innovate's a little bit tricky to read. So to give it a little more theatrical appeal, it's like at WeGo Innovate, our mission is to educate the 25 million young people or the 500,000 young people in the country. And the old systems are theoretical, they're not working, right? So you can use your voice to give that emphasis and use the scoops of information. Yeah. And I'd be happy to talk to you offline, separately to go over a few things if you'd like, just to help you, play with that. Because it gives you power. It's a great tool for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there was one word, I think when you were talking about the cost, I think it's 50 cents a month for, I thought I heard you say assess to the program as opposed to access. So it's a hard K sound. Sorry, I'm down in the weeds on the words, but just to get rid of that subtle interruption, there are a couple of things I think we could work with. Why you? How did you get involved in this?
Because I work in media.
Okay,
I
but
work in media. I've been in media for 20 years. I also come from an innovative background. So my parents have owned factories, and I've worked in factory ever since I was 8 years old. So I started troubleshooting at the age of 15. So I'm really good at solving problems. And it's something I saw, and also know how to package a solution in a way that gives a win-win to both, stakeholders and the people who need it, in a way that everybody sits in nicely. And that's what we've done with our products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that you mentioned the the Science and Tech Innovation Award was really great. I wonder if maybe that could be, I don't know. It was good at the end. I was just thinking that we could play with that too. So loved it. Yeah. Loved it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Scotty. As always, right on. And Rick, what kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Okay, Charles, I think it's a great concept, and congratulations for not using slides. I don't think slides would have added anything at all. So I think that lets us focus on you instead of slides. A couple things I think could make it better. I think you could be more passionate about it. I think some of the other comments where you were reading, but this is something you're getting STEM education to 500 million people. You can be more excited about it. So I would just try to watch yourself on a video record and just show more excitement. I think that will help. It took you around a minute from before you really talked about what it was. I think you could introduce that quicker. You went very slowly. There's 1 billion people in Africa. So many are young. Another thing I think you could do, you said the traditional education isn't working, and that's your transition. But you could very easily, in around 10 seconds, give an example. I think it's more of, are they just doing textbooks? Are they not studying STEM? What are they studying? Why isn't it working? And if you get that in the first 30 seconds and then transition, this is the solution. This is a way to get better education, more relevant to the young people in Africa. So I think that would help you out, and more passion in there, and getting more to the problem you're solving, more specific on the problem, and quicker into what you're actually doing. So I think that will help. The answer you just gave on why I think can tie into that as well, of how you can get that working in media, how you can make it easily accessible for the young people in Africa. At the end, where you're inviting people to join, that's fine, but exactly what do you need the money for? If you're asking people for $1,000, how is that going to give you more access, more media, more recordings? You said it's online, it's offline. So I think a little bit more specific to those early stage investors. You've talked about what you've done now. You've gotten a UN award for it, but where's that extra money you're going to get from those investors? What is it going to do? Is it just going to help distribute it? Is it going to help you create content? So I think you can just very quickly mention, and that will make it a lot more powerful for the investors, so they know the problem you're solving, they know what you are, and what their money specifically is going to do. But I love the concept. I think it's great, and I hope that you can get some funding for this and really get it rolling. So great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. And I think that idea of adding an example of what's broken is actually really, really a good one. And if you can put that in, as Rick said, in the first 30 seconds or so, I think that will build the foundation for all of the rest that you are going to do. Nathan, what kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Hello, thank you. So first, just a couple minor things in the opening. I always feel like it's a little bit of an abrupt opening. By the way, super great job. I feel though that the opening line is a little hard to grasp we're all waiting for it. Your audience is typically waiting for it, but I feel like without a good morning, good afternoon, hello everybody, something easy to say, that first set of words coming out of your mouth might, I don't know, it might be easier for you to get into the second line, which is that startling fact that, I don't know, it's just.
It makes sense.
In the real world, when you get in front of real people, not us, that moment before when your amygdalas kick in and you kind of forget that first line because your thinking brain is just temporarily disconnected till you've calmed down, seconds, at least you'll never forget a good morning. And even if you said good morning at night, it doesn't matter, people would smile. I love the startling fact. I also want to offer you another startling fact that you told us about, specifically for investors. So when you pitch an investor, well, the 60% of the 1 billion people in Africa are under 25. That's a very important number. I think until you get to the 25 million number, they don't know your market, because your market is not that 60%, right? But it's a good number to get us, hooked. I feel like for investors, you could go with, good morning. Recently, the United Nations STI named us one of 10 winners out of the world competition of 360 startups. Perhaps it's because we are bringing STEM, STEAM, blah, 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 to 25 million people, blah, 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 blah. And then go from there, because that's that number, that 1 out of 10, United Nations, this is not just a startup world exercise, that's the United Nations. And that, to me, is almost more powerful of an impactful statement and claim than the 60%. So that's up to you. All right, so moving right along. Good stuff all the way down. I don't want to repeat anything other people have said. I honestly think you should call up a few friendly investors right now who are just friendlies, like 1 or 2, who would never invest in you because they're either later stage or they don't have any money right now, or they don't invest in ed tech, and pitch them. Ask them for feedback on the pitch. Like, we're all giving you feedback too, but you're ready, in my opinion, to go to the next level. So with that, I think if you listen to the recording of what you did here today and tweak it a little bit here and there, take it out, take it for a run, see what people say, because until you get that validation from the people out there, we could keep doing this over and over and over again. But I feel like if you did that for 2 or 3 people, which would be the next thing I would coach you to do if you are my client, and then come back and let's review those results and tweak it based on what people say. What did they like? What did they say was missing? And when you have a timed pitch, people will always tell you, oh, you forgot this, you left this out. Well, you're at 247. If you want me to put those in, what do I take out? So keep it in that 3-minute window, or 5 minutes. Eventually, when you get out into the real world, you can always say, how about I give you a 5-minute overview, and then we can turn this into a dialogue and have a nice conversation. Typically, people will give you a 3 to 5 minute window without interrupting you. And that's enough for you to get what you've done here out on the table. Everything else becomes a question and an answer, right? So well done, Charles.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nathan. And moving right along to our participants, most of you have been in Charles' seat before. One person actually last week, and that's Adele. Adele, welcome back. And what kind of feedback do you have for Charles, especially since you just came out of one of these pitch fest kind of activities?
Yeah, great job, Charles. I thought your delivery was wonderful. Like they said, your pace was wonderful. Last week I went a lot faster than that, so you've taught me a lot, so thanks for that. The only input that I would give, and I don't know if it goes against what the other guys would advise, is, but when we're pitching, people always want to understand the customer. So you're very much explaining your users, but maybe a little bit in there about the customers, the schools that are going to buy it, the school boards that are going to buy it, so that the investors have a bit more understanding of who's going to purchase it, because the users will use it, but they won't purchase it. that's the only bit of advice I have. Great job. Love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, that's great, great advice. Thank you very much, Adele. And Debbie, welcome back as well. Debbie, what kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Good morning, Charles. I really liked your just your whole presence, I guess I should say. Your look, your style, your voice, was just really relaxing, and really enjoyed it. You seemed like a really nice person. So I really hope that you do well. I think it's a great concept. I like that you have the WeGo innovation behind there. I think if it was maybe even just a little bigger or something, it might make it so it stood out, so that somebody can remember that and try to look you up or something. But I think sounds like a wonderful thing you're working on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks so much. And moving on to Scott. Scott will be pitching soon again, well, in a couple of weeks from now. What kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Hi, Charles. That was a great pitch. There was so much commitment there, and it was so evident how you're just excited about this opportunity. And the facts that you brought out, and the 1 in 10 that were selected, I agree with what Nathan said. If you included that with what how you can make this work, and it's already proven where people already see the impact that you can have in this program, I think it's really, really valuable. But your commitment is so vital, and it's there. You can tell it, and so I think you're going to go places with this, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks. And moving on to Kevin. Kevin Minier. What kind of feedback do you have?
Thanks very much, Claude. Great pitch, Charles. I mean, you covered so much, really, and without rushing. And I think we're trying to figure out what you forgot in sort of ways, because you did it too slowly, or whatever you did in such good time. As an investor, I feel that I wanted more information. That's good, but sort of things like, well, is it really that different? And when you brought out the United Nations things, fantastic, but some quotes from why you were in the top 10, what they actually said you were, why you're so unique, why it's so special, I think really needs to back that up, because no offense, but the boards at the back, a few post-it notes, don't smack of some new education system to me. So I don't know what you can do regarding a background and something like that. But also, is it going to be a charity investor you want, really? Is it we doing it for Africa, or is there really going to be some return out of this that you're looking for? And we talked about the numbers and what it would be used for and all those things. I'm not sure you need all that in this pitch, but you certainly need to give the impression you know what you want to do with it, sort of thing. So from that point, so I think it's wonderful. And the other thing, I don't know what you do about education, whether you can patent a system or not, but what's going to stop people from stealing your thunder? How are you going to be the first mover and retain that sort of position? Assuming you want to, you might just want to share it, and because it's important. But I think those things. But I was amazed that you covered so much and so peacefully, sort of thing, so through that. So well done, and I look forward to hearing about Africa and the children's education. Wonderful.
Sure. I'll take you up on that, Kevin. I can give you some more data on that if you're interested.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. And Samantha. Samantha, welcome back, our gift tailor. You've been in this position here before as well. What kind of feedback do you have for Charles?
Hi, Charles. Morning, everyone. So, hello. So I think quite much of what I observed was being covered, but I'll quickly run through them just so you can at least see if there are themes. So your pace, I have the opposite, where I feel like I'm speaking way too fast. And so I agree with, it definitely felt staccato, as Massimo was saying. And for me, it was almost a little too slow, so I don't know if you can, you've just kind of got that chilled vibe as well. So I don't know if there's a little bit faster, because for me it was going a little too slow. I kind of, at the end, I was a little, you said kind of come on board investors, but I wasn't absolutely sure what I'd be investing in. I couldn't quite glean that. Somebody mentioned that you said WeGo really quickly. I don't even remember hearing WeGo, so I feel like if you can kind of weave that in a bit more. And of course, you do have it in the background, so that definitely helps. So that, Oh, and then much of it was about sort of the educational piece, and then you mentioned content, and so I didn't really make the connection. I don't know, it seemed a little bit of an add-on or thrown, I'm not sure. Like, I have to make that connection, if that makes sense. I get it when you say young people and creating content, but I'm having to do too much of the connecting the dots. So if you can, kind of explain how that piece fits in a bit more. And then just at the beginning, where you say something about solving Africa's problem, if you can just kind of a bit more clearly state what that is before that. So because it kind of jumped from, here's the stats, we're going to solve Africa's problem. And I didn't know there was one between those two things. I would have felt opportunity is what I was hearing, but then you said problem. So, and then I don't present, I like the vibe. You seem like you're really comfortable up there, just a relaxed, natural smile. So I always feel like that's so much of the battle in presenting. So yeah, great job. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Samantha. And yes, of course, and indeed, it's that relaxed personality that goes such a long way. I think it just conveys a certain level of confidence. Even if you were nervous inside, it didn't show on the outside, and it does leave an extremely positive impression. But as others have commented, perhaps speeding up just from time to time a little bit, just to convey your enthusiasm even more and let that out somehow. And then we also have Mercy Mlada. You are a first-time participant here. I'm not sure if you are ready to provide some feedback for our presenter here today, but please take the floor for a minute or two and let Charles know how can he improve what he has done here today.
Well, I was hoping that I'll just listen in today and observe. You did very well. Most of the areas of improvement have been spoken. What I really enjoyed is the passion and the work that he is doing. And maybe just to add a bit more energy and ownership to WeGo when he speaks of WeGo, because he owns it. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Well, that's actually very, very valuable as well. Thank you very much, Mercy. And I hope that you will come back in the future again as well. And speaking of coming back, Charles, we have this thing here where we are an open group, and I would love to extend an invitation for you to come back at one point. Maybe that can be in 3 weeks, maybe in 2 months, whenever you feel ready, after having had a chance to incorporate some of the feedback from today. And speaking of open slots, as a matter of fact, to anybody here that might be watching this on video later on as well, our next 2 weeks, we have presenters for next Thursday and the following. And then we have a pretty big open gap. So if you know somebody, or if you are interested in taking advantage of the collective experience of all these coaches and participants on this weekly call, please go to presenterzone.com/pitchzone and indicate your interest of coming here to improve your pitch. With that, I want to turn the microphone over one more time to Charles. Charles, how was the experience for you, and will you come back?
Yes, for sure. I mean, it's amazing. And for sure, I want to come back, and the feedback. I still need to try. It's a lot. I need to try and figure it out. So let me tell on something. So Claudio and I had a speak session before, and at that time I remembered when we timed it, 1 minute 30 seconds. I was still talking about the problem. So he did tell me, can you switch this around? So I went back to switch around, but switching it around, I just didn't see how I was going to be able to introduce what we're doing without stating the problem, because without that, I didn't have the magnitude, which is what I like what Nathan said, is if we can bring in the UNSTI first and then break it down from there, it comes in nicely. And what Rick also said, in terms of, okay, what you're saying is good, but give some more information. So if you can pack it up information instead of talking about just a problem, because we have a solution, then we should focus more on the solution. So I can clearly see that. I'm going to sit down. The truth is I write these things first and then see how to strategize and plug them in, and then I do. So I'm going to go back to the notes and take all the things he said, Scotty, Massimo, everybody, Scott, everybody, what everybody said, Kevin, everybody. I'm going to just try and fit that back in. And then I'll come back definitely. But in terms, if I can touch on some of the things, Kevin, you mentioned, in terms of investor money, yes, we're looking for money so that we can scale up, because we are the scaling up session. So we're looking for money to scale up. First in Ghana, and then scale up, because we're doing region by region. You also asked the question, can somebody steal the idea? This is the tricky bit. Yes, it can be. I'm afraid I'll have to be honest. Any idea that is out there, all they have to do is tweak something little, and it's gone. However, one of the things that gives us a lot of weight, and we're able to implement what we do so well, is we're very collaborative in a way that if you come in the space and you want to work in the space, if you don't have that level of collaboration, you're not going to be able to do it. It's going to cost you a lot of money. And because I've had 20 years in media and media production, I come with a certain skill set that makes me able to produce content at a very minimum cost. I'll call it a gift. So those are some of the advantages we have in that sense. And we have some tech backing us as well. So it makes it easy to move fast and then move well. And I live in two regions. I live in Ghana and in Nigeria. And I'm originally Ghanaian, born and bred in Ghana, but I've lived in Nigeria for 15 years. So it gives me all of that leverage to play. And just Ghana and Nigeria is more than big enough to own the market and then go to Gambia and East Africa and all of that. Again, collaborative efforts. We constantly do that. So yeah, I can't wait to come back. I'm going to work back on this and come back and present to you again.
Excellent, excellent. And I do just want to remind you that these sessions are also recorded. I will send out the link to the recording in about 2 hours from now, because sometimes, you might be missing something during the session. So please go back to the recording as well to get all the details and all the feedback, because yes, it was quite a bit. Yeah. And with that, I want, yeah.
So in terms of meeting the contacts here, is there a way we connect with contacts here? LinkedIn, any?
Yeah, sure. If you wanna, I don't know if people want to put in the email address into the chat box, or if you just want to go hunting them down based on the name. Some of them are easier than others. Here come the emails. So grab them before I close the meeting, because I will not put those emails into the write-up with the video. So grab those, and if you need contact to anybody specific that you are missing right now with the information detail, I do have them all. So just send me an email and I'll make sure that you can connect directly.
Sure.
And with that, I want to thank everybody for being on the call here today again, for making time for our presenters to improve their 3-minute pitch. And I do look forward to see you again next week here at Pitch in the Zone. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.